Now, let's get more details from a new report out, HIV pandemic, where the report says that young adults aged between 15 and 29 years old account for more than half of all new adult infections. The report shows that youth constitute 63% of the infections. 12 counties require intensified focus in the fight against HIV, with an epidemic in Marsabit County that needs to be mitigated urgently. We get more from our very own Dorcas Wangira.
Kenya may have made great progress in the fight against HIV and AIDS, but is still far from attaining its vision of being a country free of new HIV infections. According to the latest 2020 HIV estimates report, 304,348 of people aged 15 to 29 are living with HIV. In Kenya, 1.5 million people estimated to be living with HIV. Looking at the new infections recorded in 2019, a worrying trend is that children, adolescents and young adults accounted for more than half of those infections. But what is it like for a young person, and particularly an adolescent, to live with HIV and AIDS? This has a big impact on how they live, how they socialize, and also how they will end up to contribute to the economy in the future. According to the National AIDS Control Council and the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP, this has a significant impact on the quality of life of infected young adults.
But as well to the country, then you lose, in the GDP and knowing that 70%, I think almost 60-70% of the population in the country is within that age group. So 20-30 years from now, you can imagine we are having a population that is immune system is down. So if like such kind of infections and pandemics are on board coming, then we are worried.
There are 6 counties that have an extremely high HIV incidence in every 1,000 adolescent girls and young women aged between 15 to 24. These are Mombasa, Siaya, Kisii, Migori and Homa Bay. Against this backdrop, 12 counties, Mombasa, Kisumu, Siaya, Nairobi, Kisii, Homa Bay, Migori, Busia, Kakamega, Nakuru, Kiambu and Uasin Gishu, require intensified focus to stem new HIV infections. These 13 counties recorded more than 1,000 new HIV infections, accounting for 72%, 7 in every 10, of all the new infections in Kenya. Marsabit County has an emerging HIV epidemic that needs to be mitigated.
As we open up the infrastructure, as we open up roads, we will begin to see a pattern of where communities that were previously closed opening up. And therefore that travel movement where people are able to come to a town like Nairobi, which is a high prevalence town, then retreat back to the rural areas where they used to use 3 days, now they're using a day. And so this means that the transmission routes are actually being increased and minimizing the distance gap we had between the rural and the urban communities.
While some counties have made significant progress and are on forward gear such as Makueni, Kwale and Nyeri, others are on the reverse gear, recording increased infections such as Nandi, Marsabit and Narok. Others are neither making nor reversing any gains such as Mombasa, Busia and Kakamega.
We are beginning to see a trend that is not very good for the country. Traditionally, we had those counties that we were saying that were low HIV prevalence. While they are low HIV prevalence, we are actually on our toes right now. Counties like in Wajir and Lamu, where traditionally we had very, very few cases, that are also beginning to show a number of cases.
Homa Bay County still leads in prevalence and incidence of HIV. Between 2014 and 2019, Kenya has made major achievements, particularly in reducing new HIV infections by 44% and reducing AIDS-related deaths. However, the country has to put more effort in reducing HIV-related stigma and mortality, as well as increasing domestic financing to respond to HIV. By 2025, the national strategy hopes to achieve reduced new infections among adults by 75%, reduce the HIV transmission rates from mother to child to below 5%, and also reduce the incidence of sexually transmitted infections. Dorcas Wangira, Citizen TV, Nairobi.